I'll resend it.
So it's 4
Uh,
o'clock. It's 4 o'clock according to my clock, and I have got all my board members present. So we definitely have a quorum. We also have owners Felstein, Ketchum, Rothschild, and I'm sorry, Rosie, I don't know your last name.
That's okay. Just call me Rose.
And Rose. So let's get the meeting underway.
Okay.
First item would be to read or waive the minutes, or no, actually it's posting. We need to make sure we posted, and I don't know that it got posted on the bulletin board, but since there's
Claire
nobody.
told me she would.
Okay, well then let's hope it did. I know that we did post it via this Zoom and email and whatnot, and hopefully we're legal. We don't really have any big decisions to make today, but we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So the next thing would be to read the minutes from previous and approve.
I'd make a motion that we waive reading of the minutes. Everyone was sent them in the meeting notice and should have read them already.
I kind of agree, and everything is on Zoom. So if I can second that, I'll second that. Board members in favor. Walter?
Aye. In
Daniel?
favor.
Aye.
Thank you, Daniel. Arnold?
Yes, aye.
Okay. Since Mark and I made the motions, aye. Mark, you're an aye, so unanimous. Moving on. First item on the agenda. Mark, I don't have an agenda.
Well, I sent it out with the minutes, but I would start with the status of the current project, and I would ask Rose to kind of take over. She's been there every morning and has the latest up-to-date information. Rose, could you give us all an update?
Okay, let me look at my notes so I remember this correctly. Jose showed up this afternoon. Jose's with Right Way, and he was able to put 1 dehumidifier and 3 fans in the downstairs of all the units in the south building, and started to put some in the north building today. But he didn't know if he had enough dehumidifiers to do all of the north building today. When I left, if he didn't have enough units, he would be back Monday morning to put the dehumidifier and 3 fans in the rest of the north building, because the electric was hooked up for the refrigerators in all the units to accommodate the 1 dehumidifier and 3 fans in each of the units as of the time I left at 3 o'clock today. The dehumidifiers and the fans will dry the downstairs out. It takes 3 to 5 days for this process to happen. This will also regulate the humidity in the upstairs and the downstairs until the ACs gets turned on. I speak with the electricians daily because I unlock all of the units, and then I go back in the afternoons and I get an update with the electricians. They are hardworking guys. They will be back working Monday through Thursday next week. They hope to be finished Thursday. Today, they were blowing out the water in all of the underground electrical conduits to all of the units. And they were in the process of draining the water in the conduit inside each of the units. And if the conduit inside the unit was rusted, they were replacing that conduit. They also called the electrical inspector today. They tried to call, they did not reach him. They are trying to schedule a courtesy inspection. Now, the snafu is the electrical panels inside each of the units are not exactly up to code. So he's not sure if the electrical inspector will let that pass or will we have to bring those up to code? He won't know that until the inspection. Hopefully that's early next week. The electrician also said that he will bring in a lift next week to get on the roofs of the buildings to check the ACs, because he doesn't really want the ACs turned on until he inspects them, checks them out. And that's all I know.
Thank you, Rose. So I can pretty much concur with everything Rose said. I've also spoken to Jose. I was told he did have dehumidifiers in all the units, but not fans in the north building. The fans would be coming Monday. They'll probably move them from the south building to the north building because the north building should be dry pretty much by Monday. But that's just reiterating, and it's the next step after that would be the swab tests to make sure that there's no bacteria and or mold of any kind, and then they can file for the permits to rebuild. Electrical, I was told that all units have restored power to them now with new cabling from the meters to the units. There is a lot of work left to do electrically, as Rose indicated. One of the issues with the panels is when I was there and I spoke with the inspector, he was on site looking at the project before it began, and he said that there was a question of surge protection. Surge protection is something that's required now. What he said was if you don't go inside and you don't open up the panels inside, then you don't need to bring them up to code. But because we had to replace the wires going into the panels, we went into them. So there is a good possibility that we're going to have to bring them up to code. That's something I don't think flood insurance is going to cover. I don't think they cover code restoration, I guess.
All right, Sid. Yeah.
So that would be something that would be on us, no doubt. They also have to tend to all the outlets that were underwater. There's 6 outlets in every unit that went underwater. There's 4 in the living room, 1 outside in the lanai, and the 1 under the kitchen sink. All those need to be replaced. The ones in the living room where the conduit goes down to the floor and then back up, they want to replace all the conduit and the wires within it because of the saltwater intrusion. Up on the roof, the scissor lift is to get up there and inspect the AC units. We do have photos of at least one that was knocked over and is laying on its side. No doubt wiring was pulled from that. AC units, I'm under the impression is individual unit owners' responsibilities, not the associations. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that, having our electrician inspect and or repair. It may be he'll inspect and not repair, and it'll be up to the individuals to have repaired. Or maybe if we talk with David, I don't know if we can supersede and say, okay, no, our AC people and our electrician are going to deal with this and we're going to submit a bill to you. I don't know how that works.
Hey, Rob, Dave sent a thing out saying that the air conditioners are covered by the insurance during the hurricane. That's what he said.
Well, we haven't really filed a claim for wind damage of any kind. And I would argue with him on whether we're responsible for AC units, as it's in our it's in our paperwork that we're not, and that it's an individual unit owner's responsibility. I'm more annoyed of the poor installation of the AC unit and why it wasn't anchored down to the roof. I mean, it looks like it's sitting on blocks and it just fell over and the blocks were never anchored to the roof. I mean, my AC people tell me that my unit is sitting on blocks. I never asked if the blocks were attached to the roof or not. I would assume there's some kind of code saying they're supposed to be attached to the roof.
Well, I would say if an AC unit's fallen on the roof, it must have
Yeah,
not done
hopefully it
anything
hasn't
else.
done any damage to the roof itself and the membrane. That's another concern.
It's
with
not
them
like
falling over.
The
The other thing that they need to address up on the roof is the parking lot lighting. There's been broken electrical conduit up there, I think, since Ian. And they don't want to turn the parking lot lights back on since now they're responsible until those conduits are repaired. There's also old lighting on the back of the building that we haven't used since the post lamps were put in probably 20 years ago. And he was going to replace those sockets. I told him just put blank face plates on them. I mean, we haven't had lights up there in 20 years. I don't think we need them now. But that's what he's doing up on the roof, fixing the parking lot lighting and inspecting AC units to ensure that there is no wiring damage, as there may be, especially on that one unit. I don't know, Rose, do you happen to know whose AC unit that was? So we
Can't
figured that out?
tell. I
Can't tell
cannot
from the photo?
tell.
Yeah,
I can't see because it looks like,
it's too narrow of a photo. It's obviously in the center of
Yeah.
the building, so I would have to think it's one of the 43
it has
or
to be
44.
on,
I mean, does your AC run?
well, I haven't turned it on because I wasn't given permission.
Okay, you haven't tried.
So none of the AC should be on, should be running.
Right.
Because the electrician said he hasn't really given anyone permission to turn them on.
As far
However,
as I know, there's nobody there. I mean, are there any owners?
well, yes, there is one on.
Yeah, mine is on.
Yours is on and running?
Yeah, 54 is on. And the electrician said, hey, if it was up to me, I can't tell you not to turn it on. And he said, if you want to, that's your choice. I turned it on and it's working fine.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't affected by the flood. It's up on the roof. There could be wind damage, but, you know, everybody was using them after Helene and Milton didn't go up onto the roof. So, you know, I think if you turn it on and it works, great, good for you.
Thank you.
But, all right. So I guess that's kind of the hurricane or Milton flood update that we have. I'm sure there are questions from the floor, so I'll ask the floor if you have any questions before we move on.
I have lots of questions.
All right, let's start.
I have several. I have drywall damage on my stair ceiling from water leakage from Helene that was not addressed during the first remediation. The water came through, I guess, from the HVAC system that was not caulked when Galloway was up there.
Okay, so I mean, it was before Helena, not from Helena,
It was, well,
because Galloway
oh,
was
you know
done.
what? Correct. It was before.
I mean, I also had some
Correct. It was
water
before.
intrusion.
So
Most of my problem was under the stairs because I had a lot of water and it went under. The ceiling is stained. I mean,
it's not stained, it's crumbling.
okay. I think when we get to the restoration point, we can point that out to restoration people and get it taken care of. I'm just not sure at what time we do that. I mean, it should be done when all the sheetrock is done. And right now we don't have anybody really hired to do that. Right Way is assuming that they're going to be doing it.
Okay.
But that's an assumption on their part because we have not contracted with them to do that. And I guess I'll just bring up now, since it's in conversation, I have contacted Josh from WSV that's done work for us, other projects. He's supposed to be looking at the whole project. I've also spoke with Arthur King from King Carpentry, I think. He's also done a lot of work for people within the complex. And he's also giving us a price on everything, full restoration. So
Full restoration, cabinets, everything? Or just
yeah,
drywall?
so Right Way will not and does not want to have anything to do with the kitchen cabinets and finishing everybody's individual unit. What Right Way would like to do is the insulation, the vapor barrier, and the sheetrock and the texture. At that point, they'd like to wash their hands of our project and move on to other things. They're too busy, according to them, to deal with individual unit owners with the finishing touches, as every unit is finished differently. They're not all the same. From what I understand, insurance is going to basically give us an allowance on each unit. The board will more than likely turn those allowances over to the unit owners, and the unit owners can hire whomever they want to do the finish work. That's the way it's looking like it's going to be, but it hasn't really been discussed. We don't know for sure how the insurance is going to handle it, but that's the way Right Way's saying it should go, because they want out more or less. Arthur King is very interested in doing the individual finish work more so than the drywall work itself. But he's very interested in working individually with individual owners and, doing everything the way they want it. And WSV is very interested in the whole project, as that's kind of what they do. It's also opened up a can of beans with these kitchen windows. A lot of the units have wood rot under the kitchen windows, and that has to be addressed. There's no way I am going to sit on this board and let us cover up known damage.
No, it can't be covered up. It's definitely not.
Rob,
I'm sorry.
Rose just counted them, by the way. Rose, could you give us an update on those?
43, 45, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55 all have rot under
Rose,
the windows.
Could you tell me how many don't have? It might have been, I hope it's a
So
no
that's
doubt,
9 units.
9
Now, let me
total.
tell you something else I learned from Right Way,
Mhm.
because I ask a lot of questions. I don't give information, I just ask a lot of questions. Right Way said right now, permitting is 2 to 4 weeks out to do any type of drywall work. So if we were to hire anybody to do any kind of work, the city is 2 to 4 weeks out. So my question is, if we hire a company to do drywall work and we hire a separate company to do the window work, can we ask the drywall company to go in now and do the drywall, except for that 1 4-foot section where the windows are going to go, and do that later? So that at least the project's in process. We got, the kitchen cabinets can go in, the project can go ahead. And we're not held up by windows.
So to answer the question, yes, I mean, we can certainly ask and hope that we can proceed that way. Excuse me. WSV would like to do the sheetrock work. And from what I understand, they have a stockpile of windows because that is their key business. And windows wouldn't be really like much of a delay with them.
Okay.
So again, until we really start talking restoration, we're only speculating. I mean, it's good to get these things out and discuss them so that when the time does come, we can ask the right questions. And, can we sheetrock everything except for that front window if the front window is going to hold us up? Can we sheetrock the front wall so we can continue in the kitchen and, maybe put the insulation in from the outside when the outside is open? We might be able to do something like that.
Okay, two more questions and then I'll let somebody else speak. Does insurance cover the front doors that need to be replaced and the downstairs and the sliders downstairs?
I was told the front doors are automatic because of them being swollen and not closing. And the back doors, when I was down my last trip, I pointed out to Right Way, and Right Way said he would take it up. This was Josh. I think it was Josh I was met with.
Josh was the first guy who was in charge at Right Way, the first supervisor.
Yes,
And maybe it was the manager of the Fort Myer branch. It might have been.
Josh. That's Josh.
That is.
There was Josh, and there's Paul. I think Paul may have been Josh's boss.
Okay, well, at any rate, I pointed out the rear sliders, the fact that, okay, they're aluminum and the salt water won't affect the aluminum, but the casters on those doors are steel. There's just regular steel wheels.
Yeah.
And it was pointed out to me that, you know, they went under salt water twice. Even if they're rolling good today, those steel wheels are going to rust up and they're going to be flat within 6 months.
They're not rolling.
And I have a huge gap. Like it's completely open.
So again, my doors were off the runners. They've been off the runners before. My doors actually came out. When the tide went out, they knocked the doors right off the tracks and they were laying on the floor in the living room. I put them back. Well, Right Way stuck them back up in place, but they would not move. I couldn't get them to open or close. After playing with them, I got them to sit in the track properly, and they did run. But besides the point, I'm suspecting that the wheels are going to rot out and they're not going to run. So yes, we are trying to add that to the claim.
Okay. Last question.
So
HVAC.
I don't like really relying on Right Way that much. I mean, I don't have contact directly with the adjuster, and I've seen nothing from the adjuster yet. None of us have really seen anything from the adjuster yet. So we don't know what they've written and not written. The other big question, which we need to discuss at this board meeting, is whether or not, and I think we have to, honestly, and I wish David was involved in the meeting again, but are we filing a second claim for the Milton flood? Right now, we haven't filed a second claim. We're still working on the Helena claim. It was advised to me that we should close out the Helena claim, let it pay for the remediation, and then open a new claim under Milton for the remodel or the rebuild.
Right.
One last question. HVAC systems may have mold in them now.
Excuse
So
me.
those need to be tested also when the company comes in to test the units for mold.
I understand that their testing is very thorough, and
Okay.
I did bring up with Ryan, our first project manager, the fact, you know, because after Helena, everybody was running their AC very strong, you know, to try to get the moisture out.
Me.
And well, we even jumped your meter to get you running so that you could run.
Yeah,
your AC.
one day, for one day, wasn't
Well,
it?
so it flooded again. I'm just saying that everybody was running their AC.
Yes.
And now I forgot what my point was.
Mold.
If you had,
So I brought it up to Ryan that, you know, you're basically running our ACs. You know, they kept turning them down. I kept turning them back up, blah, blah, blah. But I said, you know, are we going to get the ducts cleaned? You know, and he said that he would talk with management and they would, you know, include it in the claim. So there's a lot of things that are supposed to be included in the claim. And I guess it's up to us to make sure it does get done. But again, We haven't seen a claim yet. We don't know what they're writing. It's like the dumpster. You know, we're hoping to get that covered under the flood because the first flood picked it up, cocked it on the fence on a weird angle, and the wheels on it bent. All right, it's an old crummy dumpster, but the storm finished it off. So we're hoping to get that covered under the flood claim. But until we get something from the adjuster, we can keep all these receipts and we can submit, and
Okay,
they get turned down or approved. But yes, I think duct cleaning should be included.
thank you. I'm done.
Rob, have you had any conversations with David Palmer since we were last there?
I talk to David almost daily.
Yeah.
You know, I talk to him about things that are going on a daily basis. You know, I like these kinds of questions that are popping up here is why I'd like him to be involved in the meeting.
Yeah.
But no, he's been receptive, and you know, he's been doing his job to this point, I want to say. And yeah, no, I talk to him almost daily.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, anybody else want to have flood questions, building questions?
Yes, I have some.
Shoot, Paul.
A few weeks ago, I did send to Palmer the paperwork to support a claim for compensation from the roofer.
Right.
Because the roofer caused a major leak in
Right.
my unit, and there's damage upstairs, which is totally unrelated to either hurricane, but it still needs remediation, and I expect the roofer to take care of that. Now, my own insurance took care of a fair amount of that remediation work, which was for naught because it all got ruined again. But even so, what is still undone, I expect Galloway to have to come forward with payment for. And I believe that's something that Palmer has to handle. But he has the information.
Yeah, I saw the stuff that you forwarded to him. He and I did have a brief conversation about it. Well, I don't know if we need to go into this.
Well, we don't need to take up everyone's time, but certainly Palmer and I and you.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about $1,700, aren't we, Paul? Is that?
I'll have to look it up. I don't remember, but
yeah, I mean, that's the number that kind of sticks out in my head. And yeah, we pretty much have a plan to take care of that.
okay.
It's just I don't want to discuss it out in the open yet because I do not have final approval on anything. So.
Okay, I just want to make sure it doesn't disappear.
It hasn't been swept under any rugs. We're aware of the situation. And I'm working on it for you, Paul.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Yeah, quick, Rob, with the obviously the AC's off and stuff, since the last power out, what's the upstairs going to be looking like in the houses?
So I mean, I was there,
Yeah.
you know, a week or two ago, after Milton, and there was no power. There's no power in any of the places. My upstairs was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You know, I did open the windows and let it air out while I was there because it was beautiful weather and it, you know, allowed for it.
Yeah, the weather's down a bit.
But I mean, my upstairs was fine. It didn't smell up there. There was no growth of any kind. You know, it looked okay. So,
Yeah.
you know, you got to remember that, you know, just before Milton, everything was disinfected, and then Milton happened, and then, you know, we pretty much got them hosed out fairly quickly, I think.
Yeah, Joanne's
Yeah.
unit was fine.
And it was downstairs. I mean, it was, you know, most of the damage was all the damage was downstairs. So upstairs, you know, when the places are closed up for a long period of time, yeah,
They smell terrible.
Yeah, I was just worried about the humidity, whether it would like affect.
No, I haven't been in Diane's unit. I've only been in my unit. I popped into Mark's the other day. His smells fine. Mine does not. It smells completely awful in there. And the FEMA guy who met me there last week agreed that this can't possibly be clean. So there's that.
Do you want me to go check the upstairs of your unit? I'm there every day. No, the other gentleman. I don't know who was speaking.
Oh,
'cause it's
I'm
too dark
Neil.
for
I'm
me to
Neil.
see.
I'm Neil Diane.
Unit 52.
52 and
It was just in general, really. I just wondered, obviously, the humidity.
I've been in my unit, which is 43, and I've been upstairs. There's no mold upstairs. There's no mold going up the walls. It's just it's a musty smell.
That's
because
fine. That was
they've
just a
been
question
closed
if
up.
Yeah.
But I
It
will
was
check
just
that for
really a
you
question on that.
tomorrow. And I don't have your phone number. I would like to have a list of everybody's phone numbers.
Diane Feldstein,
I'm
941
sorry, try that 941.
457
Yep.
7.
She's got
Sorry.
your code there.
Rose,
Yep.
everyone's phone number is on the Google Drive.
1719. I'm sorry, Rose.
1719.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
941 457 1719.
Okay. I
I'm
will
Diane
check-
Feldstein at Unit 52.
52. I'll check that for
Somebody
you tomorrow.
else?
Does anybody else want me to check anything in their units?
41.
Tuesday.
Number
Tuesday,
41,
Please, Danny, thank you. very
Danny,
much.
and what would you like me to check? Just the upstairs and the general,
Yes, please,
Um,
thank you.
and what's
Yeah.
your phone number?
614
614,
316
uh-huh,
6519.
okay.
Thank you.
Rose, can I just ask you a question? The last pictures I saw of my unit in the Lanai, I still had my appliances out there.
All right, hold on.
They removed.
Hold on. Let me talk about appliances.
Okay.
Everybody's appliances are in their lanais.
Oh, okay.
There's no easy way to get rid of them without it costing additional funds that apparently flood isn't going to cover. They're telling us the easiest way to get rid of them is when we buy new appliances, they'll take away the old ones. I wasn't really happy with that, but apart from just putting them out in the parking lot and letting people steal them, there's really no good way to get rid of them.
I know, but you can imagine all these appliances that they've got to take away. It's impossible. That's probably the best.
That's what they do. They do that though. If you buy a new refrigerator, they take your old.
Yeah, like Rob, I agree with you. That's probably the only way it can be actually possible for them to do it.
But that's why they're out in the lanais.
Yeah.
You know, I would think that anybody, if you are there and you want to get rid of your appliances and have a way to get rid of your appliances, go ahead, get rid of your appliances.
Were they ever emptied of all the sewage and water that was in the drawers in the salad compartment? I mean, they're lying on their side.
I don't know.
They
I don't
were.
know what to tell you, Diane. I can't answer that.
Okay.
They're in the lanais, so they're outside.
Okay.
Rob,
yeah.
on Tuesday, we have somebody coming down to take out a lot of things that should be okay, that are metal or glass or pottery.
Okay.
Will they have trouble getting those things out because the things in the lanai are in there?
Well, I would just tell them,
It'll make it easier for them to repair all this stuff.
Look, it's not the board's responsibility to do anything with the personal belongings that you guys have in your units.
Right.
So, are they going to have a hard time getting to the stuff in your unit? I don't really know how to answer that. They might. I would make sure they're very careful, because if your unit hasn't been tested the last thing you want is them dragging stuff through your unit from the outside and bringing it in and contaminating the place again.
Okay,
So I would say if there's stuff in the lanai, you should probably take it out the back door and not bring it back inside your unit.
I agree.
The last thing you want to do is have your unit contaminated before they do the testing.
No, you're
We have
right.
testing done. So I would be careful.
I'll let them know. I will let them know to make sure that they don't go through the unit.
It would be for your best interest.
Hey,
Okay,
Rob,
sounds
just-
good.
just for clarification, as I understand it, I can remove my appliances now without having any insurance idiosyncrasies. I mean,
Okay, so I was gonna say, I personally took pictures of all the serial numbers.
Yes, I just,
and I have pictures of all my model numbers and serial numbers as well.
So if you have the pictures of your model numbers and serial numbers, from what I'm told, Right Way also documented what was in every unit, and they have model numbers and serial numbers. So if you've documented it,
Oh,
they've documented it, you
garage.
can get rid of it.
Thanks.
Does that include the water heater?
Yeah,
Yes.
Joe, how, actually, this question is anybody, if we have somebody move the appliances out, where do they go to? Like, to
I'm taking mine to the dump.
the dump, okay,
again, we can't put them out to the curb.
all
The
right.
city's not gonna pick them up.
Mine's going to the landfill.
How you get rid of it, if you need to get rid of it, is, you know, it's your appliances.
No,
You
I
can-
get that.
However you'd like to get rid of it. I just would hesitate bringing them back inside the house.
I'll make sure they don't do that, for sure. Nothing from the lanai goes through the house.
Correct.
Now, everything, that-
Including people.
My
including shoes.
refrigerator's still inside.
There was 2 refrigerators, I was told, that would not fit out of the through the door. I guess they weren't gonna dismantle things because the doors would have to come off for it to get out. But they said that there's no way it went in one piece, so it's gotta come out in more than one piece, and they weren't gonna do that, I guess.
Yeah.
I just know there
Somebody
was
at the
2
back
units that
backside.
the refrigerators are still in. I don't know who they are. Apparently one is Zelda Claire. I'm not sure who the second one is. Okay,
Real
Next.
quick, let me give you my phone number and you guys can text message me. Do not call. Text message me if you want me to check your units. My number is 410-726-4692. And the second thing I want to tell you is I use a handyman. He's got a helper with him. He can take your items to the dump. His name is John, and he's really reasonable, and he's a great guy. And his number is 941-456-4773. And I'm going to text him as soon as we finish this Zoom call.
Could you repeat your number, Rose?
My number, 410-726-4692. And I'm there every day, at least once or twice a day.
thank you, Rose.
That way we're not taking up time from,
Well, and I'd like to remind everyone that the contact list for everyone in the complex, all the unit owners, emails and phone numbers are on the Google Drive. Always been there.
Thank you, Mark.
on the Google what?
Google Drive.
Google Drive, okay.
Hey, Rob, do you mind I just add, just going back to the electrics? I think it's obviously paramount and important where it's going forward. Personally, there should be no cutting corners of where that is kind of going, future-proofing it for everybody. And I know that's not where we're going, but you know, when we were there before and speaking, I think the electrics of the whole complex should be like paramount to like future proofing the whole situation for floods, future floods, hurricanes.
Well, they made us,
I don't think there should be any money spared when it comes to the electrics.
we haven't, I mean,
Personally,
the meters were raised above the flood level, the Milton flood level. So we can take a flood of Milton's magnitude again without our meters burning out. All the units are grounded now, which they never used to be grounded. Miraculously, we never burned down.
yeah.
The next thing would be whether or not they make us upgrade the meter panels, not the meter panels, the breaker panels in the units themselves. If they
from when we were there together last, Rob, they've all been raised.
They hadn't been raised then. No,
not then. So now the whole panels have gone up like 4.5 feet.
The lowest meter is
Which is mine.
above. The lowest meter is above.
It looked like it.
The flood height.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see that.
The bottle of wine.
Okay.
Yeah, that
So that is, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Right. Okay. Wow. I've not seen this before.
That's the new meters. You can see where the roof line used to be. They had to rip the roof off.
Which is 52.
And move them up.
Yeah, it's on the side. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Nice to see. I've not seen that before.
Oops. There's the one by the laundry room.
Okay.
See, it's pushed up quite high.
So that what's that, like 4 feet above sea level?
Well, it's whatever level Milton was. So
okay.
Milton, I think,
which is never going to happen again, right?
Milton was like a 10-foot storm surge.
Yeah.
And we moved them up so that 10-foot storm surge would not reach them.
Yeah.
Will the next one be 10.5 feet?
Well, if it is, we'll just move them up a bit more.
I mean, it's never been heard of that. No, you know what? The problem is we can't go up any higher because the highest meter can't be over 6.5 feet. So there's the limitations on how high they can go too. They have to be able
they'll end up just like in a line.
Yeah,
Right.
make it horizontal instead of.
We'd have to go to a horizontal system.
Yeah.
That could be. We
And
were hoping.
and then when it gets to that, we're just
we were hoping at the time it was going to be a direct replacement, and that's why it wasn't totally re-engineered. Unfortunately, the city wouldn't let us do the direct replacement. They wanted it raised up above that water level. So it's for our best interest, and you know, the city's not going to let us cut corners really. And, you know, I don't think any of us are looking to cut corners. I don't think we're looking to replace the electric panels if they don't tell us that we need to. But if they tell us that we need to, then we're going to. Because we have not much say in that. Okay, Mark, do we have anything else on the agenda?
The next thing on the agenda was the new dumpster, and Arnold Anthony from Palmer was supposed to be here to give us the status. What I do know is we've gotten a couple of quotes, and I believe we have tentatively, 3 of us, agreed on the quote. Who is that calling? No idea. We have agreed on a quote from a dumpster company from Inglewood. I think it's about $1,600, and they will deliver the dumpster to the city, and then the city brings it, it puts it in, and takes our old dumpster away.
Yeah, that's the procedure.
Rob might be able to get us a discount on that.
I thought the price was excellent. I thought we paid a lot more than that last time.
We
We
did.
did.
So, yeah, I was very quick to approve that, and I do believe it's in the workings and on its way.
Okay. The next item on the agenda was the status of the internal termite testing. That's kind of fallen by the wayside.
I do believe the last time pest eliminators came by, they didn't have access to the units. And they never went inside. They did their outside work and not the inside work.
I was there.
That was what they had told us, that they didn't have. Maybe you didn't have the keys at that time.
I had
was-
the keys. I was there when they did the outside spray.
Right, but now they need to get in the inside. They
I
wanted to
had the
wait.
keys. They didn't say they needed the inside access.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
We will follow up with pest eliminators. I mean, they know they have to do it. They're just.
The next item was south building second story front gutters. We have a bid on those, and that the holdup on that is we have no idea where to put the water. Joe, you live
Put it in
over
the
there.
creek.
Have you had any thoughts about this?
Hmm.
Mr. Ketchum.
If they run it down the front, I don't see any way possible for us to remove the water unless we run something horizontal all the way to the front. It's not feasible. And I'm not an engineer, so we'd have to have somebody, you know, within that to try to give us a good explanation of how that water will be dispersed.
I kind of looked at it myself, and it's not like the back. There's no good place to bring the downspouts down.
No.
And
So,
I don't know really how they're going to do it.
Rob, I don't know the like Florida laws and stuff with soakaways, but if you're talking about taking the rainwater away from the roof gutters, okay? Well, why can't it go? Why can't it go back into the harbour?
Well, because we're on the front of the building and it's going to go into the parking lot, which is fine. Let it go into the parking lot. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with how are the leaders going to come down from the second story to the ground? The way the front of the building's divided up with the firewalls and the pitched part, there's no aesthetically pleasing way that I can see where you'd bring the gutter leaders down. Unless you only came down on the two ends and you went through the firewall and
Where
came
do they come down?
outside.
We don't have any gutters.
They don't even come down at the moment.
Because we had it pitched.
Well, in engineering brain, it should all come down in one place and then go straight back out into that creek, into the harbour water. If that's,
I don't think they could make a gutter big enough to carry all the water and come
I don't think you can make a gutter big enough.
to come down 1
ever
liter is what I was
in
trying to.
Florida.
On the back of the building, there's 8 of them, 1 for each unit, or 7 of them. You know, how you can't bring 7 different leaders down on the front. There's nowhere to bring them down. So
No.
it leads me back to going to the roofer and asking them how much is it going to cost us to pitch the roof to the back.
I mean, that's basically what needs to happen.
That's basically where we were before they even started.
Could you not pitch it like halfway and then like pitch it to go to both ends? And then
Need to raise the front edge 3.5 inches to get it to pitch over the crown in the center of the roof.
right.
That includes the rise and the pitch. So the rise might only be 2 inches, but they need to go up 3.5 to get it to tilt over the rise.
God, that roof has been something.
It's been a nightmare.
Jeez.
All right. So, board, what do we want to do about the gutters? I think the only option at this point is to table it until we talk to a gutter company. We tried to set something up when Mark was there and failed to get the gutter people there. I failed getting anybody there when I was there.
Rob, could you not turn it into like an irrigation system?
Well, that's basically what it is now, Neil.
Can you not feed it into an irrigation system?
It's actually an outdoor shower. My understanding is if you walk out your front door, it's an outdoor shower system.
Yeah. I honestly don't know what to do with it. I mean, when I looked at the project, the back of the building looks great. The new gutters on the back look wonderful. But to put gutters on the front is just,
Rob, I need to speak to you directly to actually properly understand that. What the front?
well, we can,
A pool, we can build a pool out there,
Yes. We're waiting.
a
for it.
really deep one.
Hey,
Wow.
Joe, quick question. There seems to be a piece of PVC sticking out of the grass in front of your unit. A 3-inch or 3.5-inch piece of PVC. What is that?
sewer.
That is a sewer vent.
Oh, okay.
It's a sewer clean out, and I put a new cap on it when I was there on my last trip.
Oh, I thought it was a place maybe we could run the water, but
That's why Milton went down as fast as it did, because I went into the sewer pipe, the sewer
Oh.
system.
okay.
Okay. What else do we have?
The next one was kitchen windows and rotted wood replacement. We have discussed that. I will make the point that, excuse me, we'll cough there. When I had my windows coated by Absolute Window in February of 2024, I had them remove the kitchen window from it. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And it was $1,250. That was the amount of money they removed for just that 30 by 48 kitchen window with no rotten wood, just the window only replacement. So I thought that might be useful to at least have that number.
Was that impact glass?
Yes. Top of the line, vinyl, triple pane, everything.
Well, I mean, it's a number to think about.
Obviously,
Again,
that doesn't include paint, stucco, wood repair. But that leads me to believe that we should be under about $2,000 each if we do the window replacements.
So both WSV and Right Way are supposed to be giving us numbers on that work, separate from the flood claim, because Right Way knows it's a non-flood claim. So they were going to give us numbers on replacing the windows, any stucco work, and replace any rot, as well as WSV.
So let's for a moment assume that it would be $2,000. It's a reasonable guesstimate. How do we pay for that? Are we looking at an assessment for each unit before we put the drywall in and finish?
Well, $2,000 is a total of $30,000 for the 15 units. Do we do an assessment for that, or do we use some of the monies that we still have? I mean, we do still have money, but I think we need to get an accounting of everything that's going on. So Electrical Solutions, we just paid $38,000 to put in those meter pans. That's supposed to be recoupable. We're supposed to be getting that money back from flood, because the flood is covering the meter pans. The wiring that they just ran into all of the units is going to be about another $38,000. We don't know if flood is going to cover that or not. Now we're hoping they're going to cover it, because the conduits were all full of seawater and we didn't know the quality of the wire. There was no way to determine the quality of the wire without removing it to get the water out and inspect the wire. So hopefully that's going to be covered. But at this point, we don't know. But I do know that we should still have somewhere around $100,000 left over from the insurance proceeds that we collected between the flood, the last flood, the Lanai flood, and the roof settlement. So 30,000 out of that is not depleting the funds. I say we, proceed as. However, that said, the other choice is special assessment. raise the money by special assessment. That's usually the last resort. But when you don't have the money and there's something that has to be done, that is something that state of Florida allows us to do. I wonder if we do a special assessment, if we shouldn't do one for all the windows and not just the lower. The lower we have to do because we know we have to do it. We've exposed it. The uppers, we know we're going to have the same thing as soon as we do expose it. They're the same windows. So yeah, that's something for good discussion. Other board members want to speak up on?
Yeah, Rob, do you know, does anybody on the board know kind of any specialist that would be able to point us in the right direction of where to go with that kind of, you know, you speak to an accountant, or do you know about the insurance policies, or whether to, like, a specialist on exactly to point us in the right direction of the questions we're really asking?
Well,
anybody know anyone that's kind of on that level?
I mean, a specialist, we could hire an engineer to come in and I guess categorize our issues and, you know, say this, you should do them in this order instead of this order.
More so how to actually like get around and, you know, cut some corners. You know, how you talk to your accountant on the side. You know, whether to take out, you know, a second policy.
Well, right now this board are those experts, and that's why we're trying to discuss it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
How the board feels about it is what I'm looking to find out.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question. It was just, I mean, if it was on this side of the pond, I'd be asking those questions. I'll be talking to my accountant to give me that information.
I can look at the financial reports myself and know whether or not we have the money. It's whether or not it's prudent to spend it. And yeah, I mean, again, we the board are supposed to be the experts. We're supposed to be running this show. We could bring in
we're not the experts on it.
Turn it over to the other experts. I don't want to do it.
We're not, yeah, but that's the thing. We're not the experts. We need to. Where are the experts on this?
All right.
Well, if I could speak here for a moment, one of the challenges that we have is that David Palmer has told us the type of accounting system we have doesn't tell us what our liabilities are that we've until actually we've written the check. So we don't know how much money we have in the bank today.
What? That doesn't.
It does make sense.
That does not make any sense.
Of course it does. He's a money man. That's why it makes sense.
They don't put our bills into their system ahead of time. Okay, so there's no accounts payable. So it's either the bill is paid and then accounted for, or it's in the mail and they don't know anything about it, is what they're saying.
Well, my opinion is we need to wait and see what the insurance settlement is to see what kind of dollars we're talking about before we get ahead of ourselves on what we need to spend.
And yes, I think that's a very valid point. As the last flood claim that we had, they were quite liberal with what they gave us. And we were able to get the project repaired under their estimate. We did not have to return any money. They didn't want the money back. They said, no, this is what you got. If you can do it cheaper, then that's great. So yeah, there could be leftover money. It's the same flood policy as the last one. Everybody keeps telling us they're very, it's a very good policy and it's going to cover a lot. So I think Arnold's point of waiting and seeing at least what they're going to write initially before we start really talking about assessing is a very wise comment.
I have a comment.
Okay.
well, the downstairs windows are already leaking. And they're the same age as the upstairs windows, which are probably also leaking. So if we're talking about replacing the downstairs windows, we should be absolutely talking about replacing the upstairs windows at the
Well,
same time.
we've been talking about replacing the
So
windows.
if we need to do a special assessment to replace all the windows, if we don't have the funds, then we should be doing that because we'll get a better deal, I think, if we replace all the windows at the same time.
Absolutely, and we've already gotten the prices from WSV to do that.
Okay,
So it's, again, it was tabled because of the floods and new things coming into the equation. Yeah, the last meeting we discussed it and we tabled it because of the flood. The meeting before that, we discussed it and we pursued getting prices on it. So no, it's not out of the discussion.
It's not
It's
just
just-
replacing the windows either, is it? It's all the woodwork underneath the windows.
right. So if
Yeah,
we
in a
need a
lot of
special
cases,
assessment, then we need a special assessment. We just don't know at this point.
Well, that's just the point. We don't know and we need to know. We don't want to do multiple special assessments and we don't want to take more money than we need to and upset people.
Right.
So I think we need to find out financially where we're going to be after this claim or at this claim. And we can move forward with pricing the windows. We can even move forward with, with everything on the project. We just need to know what this flood has done to us and where we stand financially with that in the equation.
Oh, I think I'm totally in agreement that we should replace all the windows. But I think there's a distinction between the downstairs windows and the upstairs insofar as the downstairs windows need to be replaced before the drywall can be finished, before the buildup can be complete, or people can get back into their units.
Right.
And so I think that's, in terms of critical path, I think, as I recall that word was, you need to really make a decision on the downstairs windows probably in the next couple of weeks, whereas the upstairs windows could wait until the next meeting. That's my opinion.
I agree with that, Mark.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So then as a board member, I'll make the motion that we move forward on getting quotes and replacing the downstairs windows for all the units, not to be more than $2,000 per unit.
Including the rotten wood underneath the kitchen.
Yeah, the window and the wood, yes, and stucco repair. That's a motion.
I would second that, Mark.
Okay, we have a motion and second. We can talk about it now.
Okay. Can you back up just for one quick sec? Unfortunately, I was sidetracked on my other phone. What's this motion for?
Motion was to replace the downstairs windows for a cost of not more than $2,000 a piece. That to include both the windows and the wood repair. And
As an
stucco.
assessment?
Yeah.
So that was just
No.
a motion to replace. We would have to decide how it's going to be paid for separately. It's just
Once
a
again,
motion
until
to
we get the
replace.
money for insurance, we don't know what money we have. So I
Okay.
don't know.
But
He's
if
talking
it
about
was
assessments.
an assessment, it wouldn't be more
Well,
than
we can take that
2,000,
money
but-
out of our current
Right.
fund,
Well,
is my point.
we can't take it out of the current fund if we've already spent it with electrical solutions. So if they don't cover the wire, we're already 30,000 into the hole.
I believe when the last time we worked through this, we had about 80 extra $1,000.
Hey, Rob and Mark and everybody, would it be beneficial maybe to hire a private adjuster again? Because like, for example, if, I'm not too familiar with flood, but if, wind blows off your shingles on your roof, Daniel could maybe speak to that, and they find rotten wood when they're going to do the repair, they'll usually upgrade that. They would pay for it. So the flood definitely caused the wires to be needing replacement.
And I think they are going to cover that, but we just don't know.
Right.
And would it be prudent to contact the public adjuster?
I actually, you know what? I don't have it with me, but I have a card for a public adjuster that has been very recommended.
I think I used the one that we used last time for the roof.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, he did a good job.
He did a
Oh,
very good job, and we had no problems. I really was happy with his work. So I think if we call anybody, we should call somebody that we've used before.
Yeah.
They could probably give us some guidance, like, even on the back sliding doors, again, the flood is going to cause damage down the road. So it's kind of,
And the public adjuster advocates for us and not for the WSV and, the other contractors that are involved. They're obviously advocating for themselves. They want to replace the doors, but they don't really care who's paying for it.
Right.
So, all right.
What do we, at the end of the day, these doors, I can only speak for mine. I heard what happened to others. If they aren't operating, what do we do about that? How do we fix that? How do the sliders get fixed?
Look. At this point, it's best off that they don't work, because that gives us more ammunition with a public adjuster or anything.
Well, they don't.
Well, again, I fixed mine. You say, what can you do? You could get somebody to fix them, or I could come down and fix them for you next time I'm in town. But I'm just saying, they are fixable right now, but we don't want them to be fixed. We want them to be replaced.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bit of elbow grease.
So, all right. We had a motion on the floor to replace the windows for no more than $2,000. I'm fine with a motion to replace the windows. I think the windows have to be replaced. I don't really like putting the monetary cap to it, because what happens if we get estimates now and it is more?
I totally agree with you, Rob. They need to be replaced.
If we're going to figure out where the funding's coming from later, then we figure out where the funding's coming from later. I think we just need to make the decision that, yes, we're going to replace these windows, and we're going to fix the rot, and we're going to fix whatever stucco needs to be fixed because of it.
At the end of it has to be replaced.
And
All right, I'll modify my motion to take off the $2,000.
I'll second it.
I'll third it.
So, all right. So Neil, just so you know, you're not on the board. You can't.
I am on the board now.
No, you're not.
I am, mate. I am. I'm here. Look, I was there with you.
Whacking my gavel.
Well, if I'm not on the board, why am I wasting my time on this call? Rob,
he's a homeowner.
Are you on the board?
You're a condo owner.
Mum's been in there forever. I'm just trying to help.
I understand. Thank you. All right. So,
who was the second?
It was
On
Rob.
that motion.
I seconded your amendment.
It was Walter.
Oh, sorry.
You're amended. All right.
Sorry, I'm not with the US terms of.
All right. Can you be quiet, please?
Okay.
Yeah.
Shush.
Claire.
I'm going to poll my board. Arnold.
Aye.
Daniel.
Aye.
Walter.
Aye.
Mark.
Yes.
Rob. Aye. Okay. So it's decided kitchen windows are getting replaced one way or another.
Aye.
Which I was already working on anyway.
Ayes to
but
the
now we have
right.
a motion. All right.
Ayes to the left.
The next thing is a public adjuster. Is there I don't know. Can I make a motion? if I'm allowed to make the motion, I'm making a motion that we do contact and potentially contract with a public adjuster.
Yeah,
I would second that.
Okay,
Second,
that sounded like it was,
Arnold?
No, it wasn't me, Rob.
it was me.
Oh, I
Can you
seconded it,
non-board
Mark.
members, please just be quiet for a little bit? I'll come back to the audience when we're done, okay? Board members, Arnold,
Yeah, I'm good.
Daniel,
Yes.
Walter,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Rob, I. Okay, so we're gonna.
Who seconded that motion, please?
I made it.
seconded it. It's fine.
Walter.
Who said this is mine?
Walter.
Walter, thank you,
Yep.
Walter.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Secretary.
The status of the erosion project from, find Mr. Joe. I don't know, is he still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Joe went on vacation for 13 days. We were gonna put it on the back burner until he got back. I also told him if he wanted to wait until I got there in December, that was fine too. Are we on hold for now, Joe? Or are you back to work, or what are we doing?
There's a huge debris pile behind 55. It seemed like everything in the back just seemed to come to 54 and 55.
It was bigger.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood to try to clean that up.
Not bigger.
Once it's cleaned up, the erosion project can move forward. And to your point, we can wait till December, but the cleanup really needs to be taking place. And
Can we use any of that debris to fill in behind the sandbags? All right, so Joe is gonna proceed if and when he can. Otherwise, it's gonna wait for some help to show up. I hope to be down there very early December.
As will I.
So we'll have a full crew.
Joe, text me. I play a lot of tennis, so I'm not available a whole lot, but text me and I will gladly help you. We'll figure out a time.
All right.
We can have a party.
Yeah, we'll have a party. I drink a lot of beer.
The tennis
And you
court's
look
open.
young.
Me, I'm sure. Okay, Mark, what's next?
Any new business?
Okay, so board members first. Any board members like to bring up any new business?
No, I'm good.
Is there anything around Unit 52 that needs to be taken care of since I'm absent?
The back needs cleaned up.
Is there still a barbecue lying on its side, et cetera, et cetera?
With some shrimp on it.
That's just basic cleanup, Diane. We'll take care of that.
Anything behind ours, behind, what are we, 50?
So look, when I was down there, the entire yard was pretty much trashed. I spent 3 days
I know you
picking and
did.
carrying barrels out to the street.
You
I
did an
did as-
awesome
I
job.
did as much as I could. I did not go into like people's individual gardens and spaces. I cleaned
Which
the
is why
common,
I'm asking.
I cleaned the common area. So to answer your question about the barbecue, yeah, I picked it up because it was blocking the common area.
So thank you,
Box.
Rob.
Rob, thank you so much for everything that you did.
But
Can I,
the,
can I
Above
ask a
and beyond.
question?
people have to get into their own little beautiful gardens and, pick out the mangrove leaves and the debris field. I did run out of steam because that corner behind 54 and 55 really collected everything. And
Yeah,
I drug out the mangrove, I drug out all the plywood and restocked the pallets.
Mm.
And when I got down to the bottom and it was just a bunch of mangrove leaves and palm
Yeah.
fronds, and I was out of steam. I couldn't go any further and I had to catch my flight out of there. So I'm sorry
Yeah.
I didn't get it all done.
Don't
But,
worry about it. But Rob,
we'll
Rob,
get there.
Did you feed the birds?
Did I feed the birds?
Can I ask a question?
It's open to the floor. Go ahead, Neil. What
So
do
to
you
the
have?
floor. What do I have to to become a board member?
Oh,
give
well, you should be getting
support.
the mailing soon. You just submit your name, and then you get people to vote for you.
Okay, well, I'd love to be able to be on the floor and say
Excellent.
aye.
I know a seat that could be vacant.
I'm not talking the presidentship.
All
I
right.
would
Rob,
bring,
I would just like to yeah, take mum's spot and at least,
Your mom doesn't have a spot. She hasn't been on the board for a year now.
yeah, but she has lived there forever, so.
All right. Well, if you'd like to run for the board, we would be more than happy to have you on.
I'll end up running against you.
Yes, you will.
Let's go for
So,
a president. For a president.
Rob,
My seat is up and Walter's
Rob,
seat is up.
Your
There's
seat is
two
definitely.
seats that'll be,
You can't
You're not
resign.
going
Re-election.
anywhere. There's no-
Rob,
hey, I didn't say anything about resigning. My term's
Can-
up. I
I'm
have to
pretty
be
damn sure
re-elected,
you
which
signed, mate.
means people have to select me.
Where would we be in Charlotte Bay Villas without you, Rob?
No,
You
but
wouldn't
Rob,
be.
all I
Mark
was
could be doing a
saying,
wonderful job.
cousin and board member.
hey, you guys can, let have, I think Paul and Rona want to speak.
Yeah,
Rob.
okay. Well,
Yep.
I just.
Go ahead,
Rob,
Rhonda.
I just want to know if there's anything behind 50. We've got these people coming down and want to know if there's anything that is going to hamper the continuation of what's going on. Are there things other than beautification happenings that we need to get out of there for you?
As far as I know, the only thing, it's just clean up and re-beautifying at this point outside.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
nothing that anybody has to worry about.
Okay, but the things that they're going to take out of the inside of the house, that's not a problem as long as I don't let them take anything from the lanai through the house, correct?
Look, it's your place. You can do what you want with it. It's just my recommendation that since they have not inspected these units for bacteria and mold, and they've been disinfected, that you probably want to stay out as much as possible until they do their tests. If one unit fails, then one unit fails, as far as I know. I hope that doesn't stop everybody's place from being held up. But, if your unit fails, your progress might be held up. If people are tracking dirt through the place, that's all I'm saying, and it's just my advice to you. There's no rules.
Okay.
It's your house. You own it. It's your space. I'm never going to tell you you can't let people in there, but I'm just advising you that it's been disinfected.
When are they going to test it to make sure that everything's okay?
I'm told after it's dried out, which is a process of 3 to 5 days. That process has started. So Monday would be 3 days in your unit. So somewhere between Monday and Wednesday.
And Wednesday?
Monday and Wednesday, your unit should be dried out. That doesn't
Okay.
mean it's been tested. It gets tested after the dry out.
Oh, okay.
And there's still no AC in any of the units, right?
Well, AC will be reactivated if I don't know who's really there to go turn on the AC for us unless we ask Rose to do it for you, personally. Once they inspect on the roof on Monday, that it's okay to turn them on, then it's okay to turn them on. Like they told Joe, they're not going to tell him.
They've finished doing the individual conduits?
I'm sorry, what?
They've finished replacing the conduit to each unit?
Testing,
They didn't replace the conduit, they replaced the wire in the conduit.
Well, the wire in the conduit. Has that all been done now?
Yes. I was told
Okay.
they're 100% with that as of this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
And every unit has power back onto it, but they isolated it to just the refrigerator outlet. In other words, they turned off all the other breakers, but they left the refrigerator breaker on.
For those who had a refrigerator.
No. For
No?
the remediation company to use for their dehumidifiers and fans.
Oh, okay.
They've removed all of the outlets except for one.
All the downstairs ones, right, that got wet.
Correct, yeah.
I didn't realize they had removed them, but okay.
Okay,
So they're not even there to use.
Correct.
okay.
Okay,
Rob, you said that there are two, that they said there are two refrigerators that still work, or that just
no,
are still.
no. What I was told was there was two refrigerators that would not fit out. the
Okay,
door.
so that's me. All right, I'm one of the.
They
Okay,
could not get it out of the kitchen.
got it.
That's why
Rob,
I don't know who the second one is. I just heard there was two.
Okay.
Rob, I have a question. We're getting questions from tenants and renters, and this needs to be addressed. They want to start moving back in even before remediation is done. The moment the AC is on, they want to move back in.
I can't answer that question. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these are private properties and, you own your space. I know the board probably has jurisdiction over the building, and we probably could tell people they can't go in.
Who would want to go there?
Apparently the 44, right? The 44 wants to, and 44 wants to move in.
Yeah, renters.
55 moved out.
Right.
Okay, can I bring something up that is kind of like the elephant in the room? We have no seawall. This is likely going to happen over and over again.
We're not building a seawall. They won't let us. There's no-
Right. So, I mean, is there any discussion about a majority of people who want to sell and maybe get out of Dodge? It's
If
just
you want to get out of Dodge,
I'm
feel
asking
free.
this, and I said I was going to bring it up. It's just a question.
I'm
that
not.
if the- What's that?
Claire, I think
Not
that's about a
selling.
year down the road.
I didn't follow that. I'm sorry.
My view, that's about a year down the road.
I can't hear you.
It's
Claire,
really irrelevant. It's individuals' concerns. We're not talking about dismantling the association.
Okay, this is why I wanted to have this conversation to see how you felt.
So long as I'm running this board, we're not going to discuss dismantling the association. I am 100% totally against it.
Okay.
I am not selling. If you feel that you need to get out of Dodge, come up with a number. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people looking to pick up properties.
Yeah, me and Rob will go halves on it.
You never know.
Okay, it's just don't be mad at me. It was just something that I'm concerned that we are in
I mean, look,
flood zone that is going
everybody's-
to continue to occur.
Everybody's got decisions to make, Claire. That's not one this board has to make.
Okay, I'm allowed to have.
You are definitely allowed to have your opinion, and you're allowed to sell your place if you want to sell your place.
Okay.
But the board is not going to be involved in that.
Okay, thank you. I just needed to hear that.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to add to this meeting?
Rose, this is just directed at Rose right now. Rose, are you there most days with the keys? My niece and my sister may want to go in the condo over the weekend. They have their own key. Do they need to speak to anyone, or can they just come and go?
They can come and go. They
Okay.
have their own keys. They can just come and go.
Again,
Okay.
it's
I have-
your unit.
It's you.
You give permission to people to come and go.
Yeah,
But
Can I-
advise them that the places have been disinfected
will do.
and they should wipe their feet real well before they go in.
Yeah.
Can
I'll
can
take
I
those
say
things
something?
off.
Yes.
I haven't spoke the whole meeting. So anyway, back to the gutters. Okay, there's lots of different ways of moving water to the back of the building. I don't know without looking at it, whether it can be, done. I've done many different ways of bringing water from the front to putting underground pipes. I don't know if I can be done, but in reality, being in the business, if we didn't have another unit, the north building that needed repaired, I would have voted not to pay Galloway for their action of not tapering it to the back, which is standard. Okay. And then what I told you in the beginning, it wasn't right for them to do that. We were in a kind of a situation where the north building needed repaired, and it's a good thing it was. And then we had a hurricane happen. So in reality, we did the right thing by just giving in and letting them repair the north building. So hear me out. We need to get a gutter guy in there. I'm not going to be there till December 2nd. And I'd like to get it done before, but maybe I can call this guy, get someone's help, and we can figure out how to do it. Now they said $5,000 or so, and then the Galloway said, well, we helped you out. We gave you a discount, but in reality, there's no way in heaven, knowing I've done many commercial jobs, that they can go ahead and put insulation up there and put a new roof. Yes, it can be done, but it will cost us an arm and leg, a lot of money. So that's really not a good option. So the only option is try to figure out and have Galloway, who really caused this situation, to work with us, with someone to figure out how to move the water to the back, because it cannot be all that water, and it's totally different design on the front as compared to the back. Obviously, common sense says that you shouldn't have never done that. That's ridiculous. The back is just one straight line. The front is all cut up, and it's. But anyway, it has to be worked out, and I'll do whatever I can to help out and call that Ricky Hall, and then call a gutter company. But because it needs to be figured out, but we should not have to pay for tapering it to the back. In reality, they should have done it. Like I said, I would have voted not to pay him a dime when they did that if we didn't have the north building all messed up and we had to have it repaired, and some storm's going to happen that we really didn't know about, and it's a good thing we did. So it kind of worked out, but I'm not happy at all with it, with Galloway, the way they did it. Not one bit. But we need to figure it out. Putting a taper system on from the front to the back now is going to cost us way too much money. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment on the comment?
The front gutters, I believe, obviously have to be addressed.
So we've already talked about this. We're not going to do it again. The only thing new that came of this is that we need gutters, or we need to do something. I have no problem entertaining a gutter guy, so long as he can tell me how they're going to bring the water down from the second story to the ground. Aesthetically, I am not going to just put gutters on the building to put gutters on the building if it's going to look like crap. So yeah, we need to get a gutter person there, and we need to find out from them face to face or whatever. How are the leaders going to come down from the second story? How are you going to do it? It can't come down right in front of the front doors, and you can't span the whole building and come down on just the two ends. So we need to know how they're going to do it before we decide who's doing it. And that just means getting gutter people there that can say, yeah, we can do it. Not only can we do it, but this is how we're going to do it.
Exactly.
Come down here, do this. So
exactly.
If it means it has to wait until December, when it sounds like almost the whole board is going to be there, then it needs to wait until then.
Where do we stand with the flooring?
Same spot as we did last time we talked about it. They have not done the tests yet. They're in the dry out stage.
Okay.
Jose told me that the tile flooring did not need, that all the tile flooring was good. It did not need to be taken up. That was the last conversation I had.
That'll
with
be
him.
determined by the people when they come in and do their testing.
Oh, really?
I mean, he might be saying that based on what he feels, but if they test and there's moisture under the tile, then the tile's going to have to come up.
Okay.
Every place is not going to be the same. There was an analogy out there, like it's like, think about it like a tile shower. Okay. If you have a tile shower, you can have a tile tub, you could have a tile swimming pool. Tile doesn't go bad because it goes underwater. What happens is if it goes through the grout seam and gets under the tile, there's nothing wrong with the tile, but now you have moisture under the tile. It doesn't work well in a shower and gives it bad odor. And, people would bust up their tile floor to fix such a thing. But if your tile floor was installed properly and it has a good grout seam, then you have nothing to worry about. If your grout is all popped out and you can see the concrete floor between the tile, then you have something to worry about. So that's what I know about the tile floor. What I know is they're not going to cover it under a flood policy because there's nothing wrong with the tile. It's the installation of the tile that's the issue. And they're not going to warranty installation of. So tile floors, you're pretty much on your own, is what Right Way is saying. They're saying none of them have to come up because they don't see moisture coming out from under them. That very well may be true. When the test people come in, they're going to swab along the edge of the floor. And if there's moisture or any kind of residue coming out from under, you're going to fail. And they're going to be told the tile has to be ripped up. But we won't know that until the dry out process.
The whole floor or just?
I don't know the answer to that, Rose. I really don't. I guess I think it's going to depend on each individual unit and who put the tile in it. I mean, I'm not worried about mine. I went around and knocked on mine. I can't find any hollow spots. I can't find any voids. I can't find any pop grout. So I think mine's going to be fine. I did not do that test to everybody's unit.
Okay.
But that's what you can do. I mean, if you get I used a fishing sinker, just a small, like 2-ounce or 3-ounce fishing sinker, and just go around and tap on the floor. If you hear hollow, you might have a problem, but it should sound solid.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right. Does that answer your question on tile floors?
Yes.
Not doing that for everybody.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so can you repeat about the sinker?
You're a stinker, is what I said. Anybody else?
Rob, I think you're doing a great job. Wanted to let you know what I think.
Thank you, Daniel.
Magnificent job. Rob, you
Okay.
are.
Can I get a motion to call this meeting adjourned?
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's 5:32. Oh, next meeting would be December 6th, first Friday, 4:00.
Okay, but don't we have a late November one with no?
We should probably kind of contact each other.
Sorry, what is Palmer's mailing, right? Don't we have a board meeting, a budget meeting? Is that the 6th? Is that what you're saying?
I forgot. Can
I
somebody
Is it
think
look
still
that
6,
email
6,
up?
6?
The next
All the
board meeting,
sixes?
the next board meeting will be as posted by Palmer in the mailing that's going out.
Okay.
I think, I don't know it's going to be the 6th, but there was a date. It's at his office.
Yeah.
Or by Zoom. But that'll be the budget meeting. Excuse me, which needs to be held a specific date before the annual meeting. So that's why.
I think it was the 6th, but it's easy to just say that. Okay, it's now 5:33. I'm going to second your motion to
No,
adjourn.
it's 9:33 here.
Well, good for you guys. All right.
Thank you for
Motion
all you
to
do.
adjourn. So this meeting is adjourned. I'd like to thank everybody for participating, and we'll see you next time. Now, if you want to chit chat, go ahead.
And